See, in yesterday's lecture, we have seen that how to create the container, and we have seen the operations which are related to containers. Okay? That is what we have discussed. So now today we will discuss very important concept, which is mostly see whatever we have done so far. You can say this is basic. This is the fundamental of Docker. Okay, so when you practice it more, you will um, means how to create the container, how to download the image. So this is simple actually. If you try it 1 or 2 times, you will find okay, you are easily able to do those kind of assignments. But now the intermediate or advanced level things I'm going to start. So first thing is that see yesterday what we have done, we have created one container. And in that container, we have a that was Ubuntu based container we have taken, right? And in Ubuntu based container, what we have done, we have installed Apache, right? We have installed Apache. Then we have copied our test.html file. So this everything was happening inside the container, right? Now, after that, we have created a Docker image from this with the Docker commit command. So Docker image we have created, and then we remove our container, and from this image we have that Docker image, we had given the name web image, right? And then that Docker image, with the help of Docker image, we have created another container. So this Docker image was having everything whatever is in this container, right? So that is the purpose of the web image. Now this web image is not on the Docker Hub. This you have created because you have created a container, or let's take it this way, that your development team, they had given you the code, and on the basis of that code you have created one container. Okay, and you are talking to the development team that whatever is required, we will add it into this container. When everything is ready, then what you are doing, you are creating a Docker image. Okay, so you can create a Docker image. Now, because containers we cannot share with others, but we can share the Docker image. So we will share this into the uh, testing environment, staging environment, user acceptance testing environment, and production environment. So same actually, the if the Docker image is created, then this Docker image should be same in all these environment. You are not supposed to have a different Docker image for testing. Otherwise, we will be having the same problem which is before containerization. Something is working on testing but not working in staging or production. So that is why the thumb rule is that we need to have this Docker image. First, we need to create our Docker image. Sometimes we call it as a golden image. Golden image means, yes, this is the final image. So this golden image we are sharing with all the environment. And tomorrow, if now what will be the benefit of this? Here you need to install Docker. In all these systems, you just need to install Docker. And then, this Docker image you can use if you are using the same Docker image. So then the container will be created here, container get created here, because the infrastructure related stuff is available under this particular Docker image. That is why if you face issue in any environment, for example, during the development environment, you face the issue. So definitely you will face that issue in other environment. Okay. And if everything is running fine, then it should run. In most of the cases, it will run without any issues. There may be some challenges, like for example, in the development environment, you you need to take care of few things. Relate like yesterday, I was talking about the memory and CPU usage, right? So there was a limit. So you need to make sure that appropriate hardware resources are available. Now, so what we have done, we have created the container. Now we have created the, after that we created the image. But this is not the, this in the beginning, when we are on the beginner level. So this is fine. Okay, you are creating this, you are understanding that how the Docker image is getting created. Now, if I ask you, can you create a Java Docker image? Can you create that now? Tell me what will be the steps if you need to create the Java Docker image or Python Docker image. Nikhil, Monishika,
Like first we'll create a Java file.
I need to create a Docker image which will have
Hmm.
Java inside it.
Java installed. Hmm.
So how do you create by yourself? So this is the assignment for you guys. Okay. You need
Okay, like
to,
we have to build an image.
sorry, say again.
Like we have to build a Docker image which has Java in it.
So what will be your first step?
Like create a Docker file.
Okay. So Nikhil and Monishika, this is the assignment for you. You need to create a Docker image where Java is already there inside that. There is a inbuilt Docker image. You need not to use that one. You need to create by yourself. Will you be able to do that? Try this offline. Okay.
Okay.
Sure, sir. Now, see, creating a Docker image is fine, right? The way we are doing, but that is on the beginner levels. When we are talking about the CI/CD pipeline, in CI/CD pipeline, we need to create these Docker images, right? We need to create these Docker images with a script. Because if we do the way I have shown you or we have discussed so far, so there are some manual interventions are required, which is not a automation process. If something is not automation, it means we need to uh, we need to we cannot put it into the CI/CD file. So that is why we need a script. So that script will create the Docker image. So script will create the Docker image. So that will create the Docker image. All right. So mm, what is that script called? That script is called Dockerfile, and it should be name should be same Dockerfile. You can give different name also, but this is the standard name. D capital, rest of the letter small, no space between Docker and file. Now, Dockerfile in the script, you can write some set of instructions, and we will see how to write the instructions. And then when you build this Docker file, it will create a Docker image. It will create a Docker image, right? So let us see how to create the Docker file. So what I'll do here, I will go to the my mobile external. right? So now what we will do, we'll create a Docker file. Let me clear the history. So as I mentioned that our file name should be Dockerfile. So I'm using VI editor and I'll call it as Dockerfile. So this is the standard name. Now in this Docker file, you we need to use certain instructions. So you can go to the Docker file in the Docker documentation. Okay. So here, this is the Docker documentation. Right? So you can come over here and you can see there are many instructions. We can use all these. Okay. So in the Docker documentation, you can see that for Docker file, there are so many reserved words which we can use, right? So we will be using some of them, right? And you just others means if you want to know, just go and click on this. For example, this is add. So you need to just see how add works, right? And so there is a complete documentation is there, right? So right. So we need to follow this, but before learning by yourself, let me explain few things. So let us create a very basic Docker file. So whenever we are talking about the Docker file, first thing we need a base Docker image. We need a base Docker image. What is base Docker image? See, whenever you are creating a uh, Docker custom Docker image, like yesterday we have created one Ubuntu Docker. We have created Apache Docker image. So first we have taken Ubuntu, and on top of Ubuntu we have installed Apache, and then we have copied our test.html. Okay, test.html. So all these together, it becomes Docker image, my custom Docker image. So it means first I have taken Ubuntu. So this is my base Docker image in this case. Ubuntu is my base Docker image. So you need to first decide that what will be your base Docker image. It can be your custom Docker image, it can be Ubuntu, it can be anything, right? Which is existing Docker image which you can access. Okay. So first we need to decide base Docker image. Second, we need to uh, or let me just do this way. Consider I want to do the same thing, means I want to create one Apache Docker image. Okay, the way I have created yesterday with the help of the container, I have created container, copied test.html. So there, those all steps were manual. Now I want to do it with the script. So Apache Docker image I want to create. Okay, Apache Docker image. So first I need base Docker image, which is Ubuntu. Right. Now to take that Docker means if you want to download the Docker image or if you want to use the Docker image, you need to use the from keyword. Okay, from means that is what will be your base Docker image. So my base Docker image is Ubuntu. So from keyword is used for referring the base Docker image. Now what I want to do, I want to, after that what we have done here, second that we have run the apt update command inside the container, and then we have executed apt install Apache 2. So it is on top of this Ubuntu image, right? It is on the top of Ubuntu image, right? So right. So it means if I'm adding some set of instructions on top of my base Docker image. So when you add some set of instructions or you want to execute certain commands, then we use run keyword. So what I will do, I will use run. Run is the reserved word, and I will say apt update. So what it will do, it will add set of instruction which is apt update, means Ubuntu. Now my next step is that apt update, and then run apt install uh, install Apache 2 -y. So these two instructions I'm adding. So whenever you are adding an instruction, for example, you want to create a directory, then you need to use run. If you want to run any command, then you need to use run reserved word from to download the or to refer the Docker image, which is our base Docker image. Now, after that, what we have done, we have after that, what we have done, we have copied our test.html file to a folder inside the container, which is where tab and HTML folder. So this folder get created when you install Apache. So now if you want to add anything from your local system to your Docker image, you need to use copy command or add command. So let us use add command. So I'm using add command to copy the file or folders from your local host system to your Docker image. So I'm saying add test.html file is already there in my local current directory. I want to add test.html file, and where I want to add, under where, under tab and HTML directory. Okay, I want to copy it under this path. Right. Now, after this copying, what we need to do, we need to start the Apache service. If you remember, yesterday we faced one issue. The issue was that when we were starting our container with that web image, Apache service was not started because Docker image is a read only. You cannot run a command inside your Docker image because it is the set of instruction, but it is not running anything. Now there are two things. One is called entry point, okay, and second is CMD. So what are these two doing? So as soon as your container gets started, as soon as your container get started, right, from this Docker image, and if you want to run some command, then you can use entry point. For example, I want to start my Apache service. So I will say here entry point. Okay. And here I can run the command was uh, service Apache to start. Okay. So I will say service and Apache to start. So this command I want to execute. Service Apache, I think syntax is correct. I'll check that one. Okay. So I want my Apache service should be started. Right. Fine. File is copied, service has started. Okay, so everything is done. Now, I hope this will work now. Let us save this file. So file name was Docker file. Right? File is saved. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to build the Docker image. Build the Docker image from Dockerfile. So now, how to build? Docker build command. Docker build dot means current directory, or we say current context. Right? Minus T. Minus T is the tag. Tag means what is the Docker image name you want to give. Let me first check what are the Docker images I have. So I have these two. Let me remove the Docker image, which is web image. Let me see, is there any container running? Yes, let me remove this web container, Docker RM web. And now if I say Docker and RMI web image, so I'm deleting the web image also. Now we don't have the Docker web image. If I say Docker and images, so you will not find the web image. So we will create the web image by using this Docker file. So what I'll say, Docker and build dot minus T is the tag. Tag means with the image with some tag. By default, if you don't mention the tag, image name will be created with the latest tag. So I'll say web image. Okay. So now it is doing something. It is giving some warning in between. If it impacts, we will see. Otherwise, we can ignore those warnings. Oh, everything is successfully done. Uh, Before moving forward, I want to tell you few things. Number one, see yesterday what we have done. We have yesterday we were creating the container, and inside the container we have added everything, all these things, and then we have created the Docker image. Same thing is happening here also. See, now if you see from here, step number one. Our step number one was that we need to we need to all right. So the here if you see step number one, that from Ubuntu, right? So what it has done, it has created a container in the background, and that container is having a Docker image Ubuntu, right? So this container is created. From this container, it has created a Docker image which is having Ubuntu inside it. Now, after that, this container is will be removed, and then it is creating from this Docker image. It created another container, which is this one, and running inside this container. It is running this command, apt update command. Okay, apt update command is executed here. Then once it is executed, it created one Docker image. And from that Docker image, again, it has created another container where it has executed Apache command. And then containers, so intermediate containers are getting deleted. Okay, not image. And at the end, when we get our final Docker image, so it will have everything. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Strength.
Right? So container get created, Ubuntu. Then a Docker image get created. This container will be removed. Then from this Docker image, another, because now this Docker image is having Ubuntu inside it. Another container get created. Next command get executed, apt update. Now this is having Ubuntu plus apt update. Then create a Docker image. Then delete this container. Then from this Docker image, create another container which is having Apache. Then once this get created, then create a Docker image, then next command and so on. So this is what basically happening inside the when we are building our Docker image, right? So that is very important to understand. You need to know how internally it works, right? So the right. So now if I go um, if I go so if you see here, if I go down, so you can see running this Apache 2. It is running inside another container, right? And it has executed that command. It is building my Docker image. So once that Apache 2 get installed, so these all are basically Apache 2 instructions. Then see, remove the intermediate container, this, then add HTML file, another container, then entry point, and it has the command start Apache 2. Now our Docker image is ready. So our image name is web image colon latest, right? So what we will do now, we will uh, now what we will do, we will see whether our Docker image is having everything, whatever we were expecting. So what you can do, create a container, Docker container, run -it interactive terminal. Name of the container I will call as web container, and I will use port forwarding. I'll say port 80 is mapped to port 80 of my container. And I'm going to use the Docker image, which is the web image, which I have just now created. My container is created, but it is showing some error. Okay. The error is related to that entry point. So I have a wrong syntax. Let me check that. Okay. So what I'll do, Apache 2 service. Um, so let me just check this one. Otherwise, I'll just take the help. Okay. Now, if I Docker rm web, not that was the syntax. Okay. So now, if everything is fine, then I will be able to access my website. Let us see. I'll take the public IP address of my machine, which is this one. Okay, and I will go here. I will put it. Nope. What's wrong? Let us see. Okay, so something is not working. Let us check on our local system. Curl command returns the HTTP response. If I say curl localhost, okay, failed to connect because something is not working. Looks like that entry point did not work properly. Hmm, 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 hmm. Okay, actually it is supposed to run. Let me just check. So what I'll do here, there is one more command, which is Apache command, Apache CTL minus D foreground. So this command also foreground. Okay, so this command also starts the Apache. Let me just save this and build my Docker image again. And let me remove the container and let me run the container again. Now if I say curl localhost, yes. So now if I refresh this, right, my Ubuntu Docker, my Ubuntu, which is index.html file and test.html file should be there. So entry point is the one as soon as container gets started from that Docker image. So it should run some command like we were doing that manually yesterday, right? So instead of that, what I have done, I have run one command, which is if I say cat Dockerfile, right? So I have just mentioned -d. So this is one of the Apache's CTL command, which will be doing the same thing, service start Apache 2. And we will see that why that command did not work later. But do you understand this Docker file?
Yes.
And you need to do a practice, okay? Because this is one thing which Docker engineer is doing on, or DevOps engineer is doing on almost daily. And this is totally, that script is written by the developer, but he is taking the help of some development team or some other teams to make it more mature. This is very basic Docker file. All right. Now, second thing is now there are so many concepts, right? So if you go here in um, the Docker file, Docker documentation, right? So here you can see there are many concepts. Just give me 1 minute, just 1 minute. Right. So you can see add command which we have used, add a local or remote file. So let us see the add command, right? So here you can see there are a lot of options are there, right? For example, there is one more command which is called the copy command. So copy command and add command both are doing the same work, but there is a difference. We will discuss that difference. Okay, and you can see there is a env command, expose command. So let us discuss some of them. Okay, so what I'll do, I will go to my documentation. I have created some set of Docker files. So github.com. So you can find the reference notes from here. So DevOps mastering, and you will find on premises Docker, right? So we are talking about the custom Docker images. And this is the commit and commit which we have discussed yesterday, right? So this is Docker file and how to create the Docker file. Right? Now, these are some reserved words, right? So from we have discussed, run we have discussed, right? So you can, if you want to execute multiple commands in like apt install nginx and all this, you can put ampersand. Okay, so here you can see. So when we are using nginx, there is a special folder like in the Apache we are having. So maybe you want to delete something after installations from this. So you can combine all these. See, whenever I'm running a command, which is um, apt update first, right? Then apt install Apache. If I run these commands, then what will happen? This is one instruction layer. This is second instruction layer. So if you are using these, then combining commands to reduce the, so if you want to reduce the layers, if I put here ampersand, ampersand and Apache install, then what will happen? There are no two layers, it will be one layer. So that is what actually it's mentioned here. Copy command, right? If you want to copy like add, we have copy test.html and so on. Working directory, you want to make as a current working pwd command in Linux, present working directory, user, etc. We will see some examples, right? So this is one example. Here what I'm doing, it is same thing, right? The one which example I have shown you. Here I have mentioned Ubuntu 22.04. You can take that default one and index expose command. See, for example, you are having two applications running inside your container and you are saying it will expose port number 90 instead of 80, or you are having a customized port. So then you can use the expose command, expose port number. Okay, and this is the one, build the Docker image, run the Docker image that we have already seen, right? So here this with the diagram, this is multi-stage Docker file. We will take some more examples which are related to copy, which are related to add, CMD and entry point. Okay, because these are very frequently asked questions. Now, see, if I go to my container, which is the web container, if I say Docker and ps minus a, so I have my web container. So if I go inside that container, Docker exec minus it, name of the container is web bash. So now I'm inside the container, and if I say who am I, so I'm a root user. So it means by default I'm logged in as a root user. But sometimes you are having a requirement that you need to log in with a specific user. You want to create a user inside the container, and you want to give some permissions, and means giving the permission chmod command, right? And you want that it should not be logged in as a root user. It should be a known root user. So let us see how we can do that. So what I'll do, I will remove this RM. Let me share this Docker image with you, cat Docker file with you. So this is the Docker file. Okay, and let me have all these commands. Now I'm creating another Docker file. So on a single system or on a single folder, you have only one Docker file, right? Because names, two files with the same name, it does not exist, right? In any operating system. So I will say RM, I will remove the Docker file and I will create a new Docker file. Right? So I want to use from base Docker image as Ubuntu. And here I want to run a command. Okay. And I will say that run, and I will say user add command. I want to add a user called, say, Mikhail. Okay. I want to add a user add will add a user. And then what I want to do, that I should log in. So user is the reserved word in the for Docker file. And I will say user Mikhail. Means I want that whenever I go inside the container, it should be logged in with the Mikhail user. If you want to give the permission, again, you can uh, run the um, uh, chmod command. So, but let us see how user works. Now, what I will do, I will build this Docker image. I will say Docker build dot -t, and I will give the image name as uh, something like user image. Okay. So now it is executed successfully. Now I will say Docker images. So I will have the user image, right? So there are these images which were failed earlier. These are called the dangling images. Okay. So if I say Docker images -f, right, and all the images, which is dangling equals to true. Okay, so it will show all the dangling images which is not having either tag name or the repository name. And I want to delete these Docker images. So if I say all the Docker images, I want to see the image ID. So -q. So it will show these two image ID. Now, if I say Docker and RMI -f and dollar, and in that, if I put this command, so it will return me these image IDs, and then, those get deleted. So if I say Docker images now, so I have web image. I don't need web image also because we have done that practical and because it is 244 MB. So that's why I'm going to delete that also. If I say Docker RMI web image. Okay, I think I have not deleted. It is saying it is used by a container. So Docker PS. So I will remove that container first. Docker rm minus f web. Okay. Now after that, I will say Docker RMI web image. Right now it will be deleted. Right now, if I say Docker images, so I have user image and Ubuntu image. So I want to use user image, right? So I will say Docker container run minus IT, and I want to give the name as user container. Okay, and I'm using the Docker image, which is user image, right? So now what it has done, it has created a Docker image. It has created a container, which is user container. So we can verify Docker ps minus a. So there is a container which is user container. Now, if I say Docker and exec minus IT, right, and my container name, which is user container and bash. So I'm inside the container. And if I say, who am I? So now this is Mikhail. So now this time we are not logged in as a root user because root user has full permission, but we want to give limited permission. So with that, you can use this Docker. You can use this uh, user command inside the Docker file. Is it clear? I know this is little bit advanced level, and to be very frank, I'm trying my best to teach you this one, right? But what you need to do, you need to do the practice. There is no shortcut, okay? No shortcut. Whatever examples I am showing you, spend some time, do the hands-on, face the challenge, resolve that challenges or troubleshoot those challenges. If you face still issues, you can ask me. Okay. So that is the only way. Practice, practice, practice. Now, if I say cat Dockerfile, so this is the Dockerfile for the user. Right? So let me just give you this one. This is the another Dockerfile. Okay. Now let me remove this Dockerfile. Now, next is that add and copy command. Right. So what I will do, I will create a file, say um, touch add file, some file I am creating, and I'm creating a file, say copy file. So I'm creating two files, add file and copy file. Now, if you want to copy the file or directory to your Docker image, then you can use this add file. You can use the add or copy command. So now I will say vi and Docker file. So I'm going in this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm using say an example Ubuntu image. You can use any image based Docker image, okay? Don't I'm using Ubuntu. It doesn't mean you need to use Ubuntu. When it comes to the real-time project, so it totally depends that what Docker image. It could be customized Docker image also. Now I will say add. So what I will do, I will create a directory. Run mkdir. I'm creating a directory called under root test directory. Now I will say my working directory, my current directory will be work dir. My working directory is root test. It means I'm inside that directory, cd/. So what I want to do, I want to use a command add, which will copy add file, which is on my local system, to the um, with the name add file only, because my current directory is this one, test. Otherwise, you can give the full path like /test and then add file. Same way, I want to use the copy file, copy, copy file, and I want to copy under this uh, with the same name or different name. Okay, so copy file. Okay, now let us save this. And now I will say docker build dot minus tag, and I will say uh, copy image. This get created, right? Now, if I create a container, docker container run minus IT, name of the container, I will say C1, and I'm using the docker image, copy image, right? Right. So container get created. Now, if I say docker exec minus IT, I'm going inside the container. Container name is C1. You can run the bash command, or directly, yesterday I have shown you, you can directly also run the command. If I say ls under test, so you will see there are two files, which is add file and copy file. So it means from my local system, the files get copied into my, so you can use the add file or the copy file. Now the question is, if both are doing the same thing, why we need to use both? Instead of that, we can use add or copy. But add is little bit advanced. So now consider you want to download something from a URL. Okay, like for example, if I say anything, so here you can see copy the files and directory, add local or remote files and directory. Remote files means, let us take one example. I will go to download Maven. Okay, so if I say download Maven, so Apache Maven, and here you can see this is the URL. For example, this is the URL for my, so I will just right click on this and copy the link address. So now if I come over here and wget command in Linux, it will download from the URL, right? So you can see I have this Apache bin tar.zip file, right? So I want to do the same thing in my Docker file. So let me remove this. Okay. So that file is removed. Now I will open my Docker file, and here what I will do, I will use the add command. I will say add and download that zip file. Okay, where it will be downloaded? It will be downloaded under your same directory. So add and the URL, right? And I think only one argument is fine. We'll see. Okay, so I will say Docker and build dot, and I will call it as add image minus t, some error. Two arguments are required. I think this is the URL with under which directory. So our directory is same. So I will say, okay, under test directory. Okay, so let me save this. And now I will say again. So now it is created, right? So now what I will do, I will create a container, Docker container run. Uh, Container name, I will give it as the C2 and add image. Okay. Now, if I say Docker exec minus ID and ls, right? So you can see that zip file is downloaded, right? So this way you can run the means this thing we cannot do in the copy command. Copy command is only copying the file, but add command is to copy the file. That is one functionality what copy command is doing. Plus, you can download from the remote repository. There is one more, advantage. For example, we were using that Docker, this wget command. So we download this, right? So what I want to do, this zip file, right? This is my zip file. I want to unzip this file. I want to unzip this file. So if you use the copy command, zip file will be copied as it is. But if you use the add command, it will unzip the file. Okay, let me show you that one. So if I say vi and Dockerfile, right? Now what I will do here, I will say that add, you can use capital, small, doesn't matter. This file, which is under my local system, unzip this and put it under test directory. Okay. So what it will do, add command, it will unzip this file and then put it into the test directory. So I'll say Docker build dot minus t. I will say something, say image one, I will write it. So this is getting created. Now this is created, right? Now, if I say Docker images, so I have a image one. So I will create a container, Docker container run minus ID. Name of the container, I will say C2. C2 is already there, C3. And I'm using the Docker image one. Done, created. Now if I say Docker exec minus ID, and the name of the container, which is C3. And if I say ls under test directory, so that should be unzipped under that test directory. So you can see that there is one more folder get created under this. And now if I take this folder, right, see, it is unzipped and all these are the files. So that is the another example of the add command. So add command, okay, is advanced level of the copy command. So that is again one of the interview based question. What is the difference between add command and the copy command? Any question, guys?
Also clear too.
No,
Yeah, yeah. So you just need to do a practice. That is what I would say. Because at this moment it maybe looks that you are able to understand, but when you start working on this, then you will face bit challenges. Okay, try to make your own example. That will basically the right way of learning. So if for example now you learn this thing, no, so think something about, okay, I want to deploy my jar file, how I can deploy, how, like Mikhail, you are using Python, so you can say how I can use my Python program to deploy it as the container. So if you try in that way, if you guys really wants to learn, those are the methods. See, for me, it is easy because I am teaching this from last 8, 9 years. Okay. So for me, it is repeated, 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 and now it is printed into my mind. But when day one, when I started, right? So for me also it was challenging, and whatever I was feeling at that time, right? Because I had to do that. because I need to teach to my students, or I need to put it into my work. So you need to go with that. Don't take it as optional. Take it as mandatory for your career point of view if you want to make your career in that DevOps. And to be very frank, it is not only for DevOps engineer. For the developer also it is required now, because I'm taking the classes from different organizations now, corporate training when I take. So my batches were developer batches, those who wants to learn Docker. The reason is that now if you are developing some program, so expectation from the company side is that you need to create a Docker file. And if you don't know, means that's not good. Okay. So, so, uh, see, you guys are spending the money. So learn the thing with your heart. Okay. Try to experiment it. When you do the experiment, ask the question, right, to me. It may be something which is new to me. If I know the thing, I will definitely tell you immediately. If I don't know, then I will take some time and I will explore your question, means how it can be resolved, right? So, but more efforts, 70 to 80% efforts is from your side. All right. So we have discussed add and copy command, user command, working directory, expose command, and some other set of commands related to the related to this Docker, right? Or Docker file. Now let us talk about another very important or very frequently asked question: CMD and entry point. So both what they are doing, they are basically as as soon as a container get started from a Docker image, right? Then the commands which are in front of CMD or entry point get executed. Okay. So let us see. Let me remove that Docker file. Now I will create the Docker file. Now what I will do, I will take some Docker image, say from Ubuntu, right? And here I will use CMD. Okay. And I will say echo hello world. Okay. So I want to just print hello world. So I want to create a Docker image first, because from the Docker file, you create the Docker image. I will say Docker build dot minus t. I will call it as image2. Create it. No, I will say Docker images. So there is image2, right? 7 seconds ago it got created. Now, if I say Docker and if I create a container, one way I have shown minus IT. Remember yesterday when we were creating a container, so it has created, but it was in the stop state immediately. So container got created. So sometimes when you want to create a container from a Docker image and you don't want to execute it or keep it running, so then you can use this command, Docker container run, and then the image name. I want to just execute it one time. Now you can see a container get created, and when the container get created, it has executed the command which I have written in front of Docker file, right? Sorry, CMD. in front of the CMD, right? So in the Docker file, I have written this command. So my container got created from Ubuntu image, and now it has executed this command. Fine. Now, if I say any command, you can put it in front of CMD. Now, there is a difference. So if I create a container and if I pass command line argument, what is command line argument? Some argument I'm passing, echo, and if I say hello, India. Now what it has done, whatever is written in front of CMD command, it is replaced with this command line argument. Okay, so it means whenever this CMD is used and it has to execute some command, so it will be replaced with the command line argument if we pass the command. So it is not guaranteed that this command will always get executed. This will be executed if there is no command line argument are passed. But if I talk about if I replace this particular file or not file, this command with the entry point. So entry point is also doing the same thing, but it will definitely execute that command which is written in front of entry point. So I will create another Docker image, Docker build dot -t. I will call it as image3. Image get created. Now if I say Docker run and image3, now see hello world get executed. Now if I create another container and if I say echo hello India, so what it will do, it will ignore the command line argument and it will definitely execute the command which is written in front of the entry point. Right? Now if I say vi Dockerfile and if I say say CMD, for example, I want to use the sleep command. Sleep is the Linux command. And if I say sleep for 10 seconds. So now if I create a Docker image, Docker build dot -t, I will call it as image4. Now here I will say Docker run and with the image4. So container is getting created and it will sleep for 10 seconds and after that it will come back to the actual prompt. So you can see now it will take for 10 seconds and after that it came. But if I run this and I'll say, okay, come back after 1 second. Sorry, come back after 1 second. So sleep 1 second. Right? So see, after 1 second, it is returned back to the prompt. Now, if I say image4 echo and hello. See, sleep command is replaced with the echo hello command. So it means whatever I'm writing in front of CMD, it will not guarantee that it will execute. It depends upon the command line argument. You can use only one CMD and one entry point maximum. So now if I go to my Docker file and here I can use entry point also. So for example, if I say entry point and here I will write a command say sleep. So it means this sleep command will definitely get executed all the time. And with the CMD, I want to pass a number. Say I want to pass 10. So it means from Ubuntu, first entry point get executed, which is sleep command, and then CMD get executed, which is 10. Actually, we need to put it into a single quotes and brackets. Okay, and jointly it will execute sleep 10 seconds. So now let me save this. Now I'll say Docker build dot minus t, and I will call it as image 5. So this is done. Now if I say Docker run and image 5, so it will take 10 seconds. Sleep command get executed, which is the command for entry point, and CMD command get executed, which is the command for the uh, CMD. Now, if I say create a container and I will pass 1, so it means whatever is written in front of the CMD, that is replaced with the 1. And there I have written 10. So now I need not to write the complete command. Instead of that, I have written this 1. So that is very frequently asked question. What is the difference between CMD and entry point? Okay, so we have discussed so many things. One last thing I will discuss, because this is something which needs a lot of practice. First, you need to try these my examples. Then you need to do your own innovation. Now, let us talk about one more concept, which is called multi-stage Dockerfile. Multi-stage Dockerfile. What is multi-stage Dockerfile? See, uh, I'll give you one example. Let me delete everything, all the containers, Docker rm minus f dollar Docker ps minus a minus q. So it will delete all the containers. Now I will delete all the images, Docker rmi minus f, and I'll say Docker and images minus q. So it will delete all the images. Dollar is missing. All the images get deleted. Now I don't have the image. If there is no image, uh, then there is no container. Now what I will do? What I will do? What I'll do? Right, right. So there are few challenges. Or what we will do? We will use our local, means here I already have my. Let me open a folder here, right? And we will open this particular project, right? So under this is the project where we are having the source code. So what I will do, open in the Visual Studio Code. Let me remove some unwanted stuff. So otherwise it will get failed. I have added something related to Sonar. So let me remove those. Again, let me search Sonar. Let me remove this also. Okay. Save it. Now let me see in my source code. There is a app.java, and I have here, which is package name. Okay, there are two method, but I'm just I will remove this one, and I'm having here I love Faridabad. Okay, so let us save this. Right now, what we will do, we will run our, we will go to our terminal. and I will run the command ambient clean package. Right? So jar file should be created. Now, if I go here under target, so there is a jar file. Now, if I execute this jar file, so what I'll do, uh, Java and CP under target directory, there is a file which is this jar file, and my package name is com.kmit courses, right? And my class name is app. KMIT courses. Okay. And this is having a, hey, what's going on? Basic this com.courses.app, right? So I love Faridabad, right? So now I want this file is to go into my Docker file. Means I want to create a Docker image and I want to deploy this code. So what I will do here, I will go here and I will create a uh, Docker file. So I will say here. So that is how developers are doing, right? So they are creating a Docker file here. Okay. Now, what I want to do, I want to use this jar file, right? So that what I will do here from, right? And I will say, so there is a Docker image which is called Maven Docker image. I don't want, see what I want to do, I want to copy this entire code. See, on my system, I have Maven installed, but I don't want to install Maven when I run it as in my CI/CD pipeline, because there Maven is not required. Maven should be the part of my Docker image. So what I'm doing, I'm taking the Maven Docker image, right? And what I want to do, I want to copy entire code, which is the source code directory and form.xml. So what I will do, add command, and I will say copy my sources src, right, and put it under, let's create one directory here. I will create a directory mkdir. I need to use run command, right? So mkdir, I want to create a directory under any directory name, and I want this source file is to be copied under my app source, right? And also I want to copy my form.xml file. So form.xml file is to be copied. Then this will be my working directory. Now, because I'm using the maven command, so I can run the maven command also. So this is my working directory. Under that, I have source and form.xml. Then I can run this command and I can execute this command. Is this Docker file is clear to you what I'm doing? Just
Yes.
have a look. I'm using Docker image maven. I'm creating one app directory because I want to copy everything under that. And then I am copying source and form.xml. And inside that, there will be a target directory get created. Under that, this jar file will be created after executing this command. And everything is happening inside my Docker image, right? So let us save this Docker image. Now, because I have already I already have Docker installed on my Windows machine. So I will say Docker build dot minus t, right? And I want to create a Docker image called MVN image. I'm in the same folder, right? Sorry, this is where check the path of, right? So I'm not in the, so I'm in which folder? MVN project. I'm in this folder. Let me say ls. Oh, I have Docker file here. So now let us, so it should run. Let us see what is the problem. So I will say again, Docker build dot minus t and MVN image. Okay. So it is giving failed to connect to the Docker API. Okay, my Docker is not running. Sorry. So I will say Docker desktop. So it should be started. It will take 1 or 2 minutes to start. So yeah, it is started. Right. Now let us rerun this command. Right. Now it is building the Docker image. So Docker image name we had given MVN image. So now it is doing all those things, right? Okay. So looks like it is created. How do we check? We can run a command directly here, Docker images. So you can see that there is a image which is the Maven latest image. But see the size, 529 MB, which is very big size, right? But let us see whether it gives the result which we were looking for. So what I will do, Docker run and then the image name, which is MVN image. Okay, so it is saying not able to find the class. So Java link com.kmit. Oh, what is the class name? Class name is app only. Okay. So there is something wrong that it is not able to find. Let us see our Dockerfile once. Java cp target, this jar file, and com.kmit courses dot app. Okay, this is also correct. Under target, let us see whether this is the file name basic. Okay, so file name should be same, basic underscore maven project -1.0 dot jar. Oh, sorry, it's not snapshot dot jar. Okay, it is this one. Okay, my bad. So let me save this and let me create that maven image again. We need to remove the container first. Our container is, let us see, this is my image, this is my container. So there is a container get created. We will delete this container. And then we will go to the images And so you can run the RMI command, or I'm directly using this desktop. Right. Now let me build that Docker image again, right, which is Maven image. Right. So let us see our image get created 529 MB. Now we will create a container from this. Right. So I will say Docker run with the Maven image. Now this time I love Faridabad. That output came. Right. But the concern is that size of this image. So this is a normal Docker image file. Now I want to create it multi-stage Docker file so that we can reduce the Docker image as much as possible. So what I will do, I will give some stage name. I will call it as build stage or builder, whatever. Right now, so this build stage, I'll show you the purpose of this. Now here I will use OpenJDK say 17. I will create a working directory and I will copy from builder this one.jar file to app, and then I will say CMD and we will use the same command, right? Java CP. So what we are doing from builder tar this app under app. This is the jar file. Okay. And yeah, first let me execute this and then we will see whether we are getting the same output or not. Okay. So what I'll do here, I will again remove that container. So I will go to the container. I will remove this container and I will remove the image also, which is the Maven image. Now I will create a new image from this. Let me save this. Java CP. This is the jar file working directory, right? Copy app target. So now what I will do, I will run the Docker build command and I will call it again Maven image, okay? Or JDK image, whatever we want to give. So what it will be doing, it is failed to build. OpenJDK 17 is not there. Let us see that Java image on Docker Hub. Java image on Docker Hub. Earlier it was OpenJDK. OpenJDK 17. We will use this one because this image is not found. Okay? So we will use this Docker image and we will build our image again. Oh, this image is also not found. What's going on? Okay, I'll go to Docker Hub. Containerized state Java, and here we'll see the clone. Okay, it's not showing. Docker Hub. So we'll go to Docker Hub and we will see that file, that image. Java, I think it is replaced with Java. I think so, yeah. Java official Docker image. Right. And here we'll see Java Alpine version is there. JDK. Okay, so actually earlier there was a Docker image called OpenJDK. So looks like they have replaced OpenJDK official Docker image with this. So, so these are the simple tags, Oracle Linux. We will take one of them. I'm just looking for the slim version because that is less in size. So we will use this image, OpenJDK slim image. Okay, so we will use this one. Let us save this and let us run this command again. Hopefully this time it will be executed. Yeah, it is doing something. Okay, done. Now, basically what happened, there is a Docker image again get created 1 second ago. Actually here you don't see much difference because I could not find the proper Docker image which is relevant to this JDK. But there is a little bit size difference. Let us see whether it is giving the same result or not. Okay, so what I will do here, I will say Docker run and with my MBN image. So I'm getting the same output. See what is the difference between the way I have created earlier and the way I have created now. So basically what happens that you go to the development team and you are saying that, okay, this is 529 MB. Now our Docker image size is 429. Still there is a 100 MB difference, right? But we can reduce it more when we are having a, proper Java file. Earlier it was Alpine image, which was, 100 MB only. Okay, so we were able to reduce the size to 100 MB. So now the main concern is that the Docker image size should be as minimum as possible. To do that, I have used two steps. Step number one, to create the jar file by using Maven image. Step number two, take this jar file and in the final Docker image, remove this Maven image because Maven image itself is 529 MB. On top of that, we are adding our jar file, we are running clean package. So our main purpose is that step number one, to get the jar file. Step number two, execute the jar file. Now to execute the jar file, I need Java. I don't need Maven. Maven job is to create the jar file. Maven job is not to execute the jar file. Java is to execute. So how you will get that knowledge? You need to talk to the development team. Now, development team is saying, okay, once we are having the jar file, we don't need Maven. So that is what I'm doing. So this is, I just named it as builder. This is one stage. This is my builder stage where I'm building the Docker image. You can give any name, okay? Just I'm giving the builder stage. And once that builder stage produce the under target directory, once it produce this jar file, so what I will do, I will copy, I will create another another from I am using. I'm saying take the jar file from there and then remove this whatever is in this stage in the final Docker image. So I'm saying take OpenJDK image. Okay, there will be app directory, right? I'm copying from builder stage. From this stage, I'm copying this jar file and putting it into this stage. under app directory. And then I'm running this jar file. So this is stage one. This is stage two. In stage two, I have decided this will be my final output. So this is called multi-stage Dockerfile. Multi-stage. And see, whenever the difficulty level comes, so interviewer try to, you know, try to ask more questions in that particular topic. So I know maybe at this moment you are not able to understand, but you know, try to understand in this way. Step number one, I need to reduce the Docker image size. Is it possible? Here I have given 2 stages, maybe 3 stages, maybe 4 stages. So you need to create multiple stages to reduce the size of the Docker image. So if the Docker image size is less, then you can create the multiple containers. So if my Docker image size is 100 MB or 1000 MB, right? So here I can create 10 containers. Here I can create only one container if the total allocated size is 1 GB. Okay, so this is called multi-stage Docker file. Okay, so I would say first try the examples which we have done for that normal Docker file, then come to this and then try this. Is it somehow clear to you, Monishika and Nikhil?
Yes, sir.
Maybe,
Trying to understand.
yeah, maybe you need to practice. I know
Little, yes.
it is little bit advanced level of Docker. Okay, but if you try it, it will not be difficult. Let me share this Docker file with you guys. Okay, so we will wind up today's session. Still, there are a lot of topics, Nikhil. So I thought it will be over in 6 hours, but it looks like it's not. There are still many topics are left. So we will continue that discussion.
Sure, sir.
Huh? So what we will do, we'll meet